Welcome everyone here at the International Wealth Builders Radio Talk Show. I am your host, Marie Antonette Waite. We are here on KCAA Radio Network, broadcasting on 1050 AM and 106.5 FM here on the Greater Los Angeles. You can also subscribe to Building Solid Foundations channel via Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and Android app. And you can also find us in all of your favorite streaming channels. Now, today we have an amazing guest who's going to talk about AI technology. And his name is William Maitre. William is someone that is pioneering the intersection of design and AI with Vederemar. So let's go ahead and welcome William. William, welcome to the show.
Thanks. So happy to be here. Hello, everybody.
Yes, and William, you and I have worked on some other projects before, and what I know about you is you were good in doing graphic designing, and you have helped me with one of my projects, and I was really excited to have you as part of this new event that I'm doing in November. It's called the Fire Up Live. So tell me what is your what's going on with your business right now, because I know you are now getting into the AI innovation. So give us an example of what's going on in there.
Okay, so essentially, while I was being a graphic designer and working with various freelancers and business owners, um, I was actually still holding down a full-time job. And within that full-time job, I ended up getting promoted into the IT department. And from there, I went to a coding boot camp, which allowed me to learn software development. And then, much like everybody in the world, ChatGPT came out and took the world by storm. And I used my new IT skills to really figure out how it's working underneath the hood and things like that. And at the same time, I was getting my certificate in brand strategy and just overall upping my skill set. And I saw there was a big gap in how business owners did market research and all sorts of things. And so what I did is did a total rebrand with my business. And so
Okay.
I'm leveraging artificial intelligence to basically allow me to do, for example, it would normally take me 2 weeks to do market research for a brand new client. Leveraging prompt engineering and what I've learned about AI, I can get that done in 20 minutes.
Wow. So it really automated a lot of the process for doing the technical part of your business. Am I
Yeah,
right?
and exactly. And I have, I consider myself a bit of a unicorn in the design space, because I'm fortunate enough to be able to actually use both sides of my brain here. And so I I don't just create things. I tend to do a lot of research and I have a lot of data to back some of the design decisions that I make. And that's what separates me a bit from most other of the graphic designers out there, because essentially it's more of like instinct and talent. And so what I've been able to do because of my business background and my business degree, I have instincts about things and creativity, of course, but then I go out and find data to back those decisions so that way we can hit the ground running as soon as those designs get made.
Okay. And what is your business degree?
And so I have a bachelor's in business,
Okay.
with a concentration in human resources. And so, which is again why it's a little weird that I ended up doing this graphic design thing. It's
Yeah.
you generally don't see a transition like that.
Okay. Well, I'm interested in your background. Can you give us some more information of how it all started for you? Because I know that, I've known you doing graphic design, but I know there's more to it. So can you just give us some of your backstories?
Sure. Um, Essentially, I was working for a pediatrics office and doing really well there. Turned the whole office around, got employee retention up, everything was trending in the right direction. And then COVID happened. And in like many people, sometimes last hired, first fired scenario, they were cutting back for cost, and so I got laid off from that. So sitting at home, you have a wife, you have kids, you have bills, you have things like that. I basically, I'm never one to rest on my laurels, right? And so for me, I just took an inventory of the skill sets that I had. I knew I had business skills. I knew I had working with HR. I became really good at working with people and
Okay.
asking questions and things like that. And I said to myself, well, if all doors are closed, the doors of online are still open. And rapidly figured out that, doing graphic design and things like that would work for people who were, had coaching businesses, e-commerce individuals, because they were still in business while everything else was closed. And so I went ahead and taught myself graphic design. And then while doing that, I came across this skill set that I didn't see in business. And the best way I can describe it is if you ever gone to the movies and you see these movie posters hung up on the wall
Yes.
promoting movies that are coming up, I found out there was a small section of designers who specialize in those things. Because I always thought that, Marvel did their own things, but apparently they don't. They outsource it. And
Oh, okay.
so, yeah, and so learning that, it turns out that these posters, we'll take the Avengers poster because everybody's familiar with that.
Mm-hmm.
In the background of the Avengers poster, you'll see like a whole galaxy thing and some others and some other things that goes with it. The funny thing is that original poster didn't look like that. The only thing that the studios provided was the pictures of the actors. So the compositor is the one that brought in roughly 15 different elements to that poster to make it look like it was made to be that way. And so looking at how business was, and I saw how people's social media looked, I saw how business flyers looked, I identified, well, this skill set is nowhere to be found in the realm of business. And
Wow.
so I brought it in there. So now when people ask me, hey, can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? I tend to composite it. So now when someone gives me a picture of themselves, we tend to talk and you've experienced this. You send me a picture and I can take that and bring in 4, 5, 6 different elements to it. And it made it look like the picture was meant to be that way.
Wow. You know what I like about your story is you showed a great example of how to pivot into whatever the situation, because a lot of people during the COVID situation, they just didn't know what to do. But in a way, what you did is you find something that was very unique, and then knowing that you have all the set skills of looking at every part of it, and then you were able to manage to specialize on that process that you're doing. So it's actually pretty cool that you know how to evaluate and analyze what's being presented to you, what you're looking at, and how you're able to create a unique process for you.
Yeah, and I think now with the ChatGPT, I added that into my workflow, and so my workflow starts out very database, right?
Okay.
With every client that I get, I do my own SWOT analysis and I do a Porter 5 on them just so I can get the general lay of the land. Once I do that, it helps me to identify, okay, this is where we can capitalize for this particular business. For example, um, a client of mine had a podcast, and his whole thing was, he was a comeback coach. He was focusing on military veterans. That's what he was doing, but
Okay.
he didn't get any traction with it. So he found me in one of the veterans Facebook groups we're in. We get to talking, and so I go through my process, and we did a full rebrand on it. So I did brand strategy for him, creative direction, gave him a logo, like really just the whole 9 yards, and the end branding. And then we identified a central theme that he can capitalize on. So I told him, based on the guests that you had before and what the data is telling us, your theme should be resiliency. You are basically a mindset person, but the
Okay.
sub niche is resiliency. So fast forward 2 years, and he's at about, I want to say, he told me he's about 750,000 downloads at this point because of the rebrand, and he's number one in his category. So
Wow,
prior,
that's
prior,
amazing.
Yeah, so prior to me, he was struggling. Post me, he's experienced about 300% in growth with his podcast. So, he's very happy.
That is incredible testimonial, William. I think, hearing that story, people will be like, hey, I want that too. I want that kind of result too, William. You're going to have to help me too. It's not a lot of people can really figure out how to solve those kind of problems. You know what I'm saying? So, I
Hmm.
mean, with your skills and talent that you are able to identify the problem and create a solution for it, that's how you become successful. People have to really know what the problem is and figure out different ways of solving it. So let's go take a break. We're going to take a commercial break, William, and we're going to come back in our next segment. But for everyone out there who's listening, don't go away. This is your host, Marie Antonette Waite, and I'm with William Maitre, who is an amazing graphic designer and who is an AI innovation expert. So don't go away. We will be right back.